The billionaire woke up with one question. Where is the boy who didn't leave? On a freezing night in the Bronx, a 17-year-old boy stood just steps away from the last train home, with rent money in his pocket and everything on the line. But when a stranger collapsed in front of him, he made a choice no one else did. That decision cost him his ride, his safety, and nearly his future. What he didn't know was someone powerful would never forget his face. The platform smelled like cold metal and damp concrete, the kind that clung to your clothes long after you left. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, flickering just enough to make everything feel unsteady, like the night itself couldn't decide whether to hold together or fall apart. Jamal Carter stood near the edge of the platform, shoulders hunched inside a thin jacket that wasn't built for November. His breath came out in short white bursts, fading into the stale air. In his right hand, he gripped a small folded stack of bills, $42. He had counted it 3 times already on the train ride over. Rent money, not all of it, but enough to keep the landlord from knocking too hard on the door tomorrow. Across the tracks, the last train of the night screeched as it slowed, metal wheels grinding against steel. The sound echoed through the empty station, bouncing off tiled walls covered in old posters and peeling paint. The digital sign above flickered. Last train, 11:47 p.m. Jamal shifted his weight from one foot to the other. His legs ached from a double shift at Sal's Pizza on 3rd Avenue. Grease still lingered on his fingertips, no matter how many times he'd washed his hands. He could already picture home, his mother asleep at the kitchen table, still in her scrubs, a cold cup of coffee beside her. His little sister curled up on the couch, breathing uneven, that quiet wheeze in her chest that never really went away. The train doors slid open with a sharp hiss. Warm air spilled out, carrying the faint smell of perfume and stale fast food. A few passengers stepped off, collars pulled high, eyes down, moving fast like the night was chasing them. Inside the train, empty seats waited under soft yellow lights. Safety, warmth, a ride home that would take 15 minutes instead of hours. Jamal took a step forward. That's when he heard it. A dull thud against tile. Not loud, not dramatic, just wrong. He turned his head. About 20 feet down the platform, a man in a dark wool coat had collapsed, face down. One arm twisted under his body, the other stretched out like he had tried to catch himself and failed. His briefcase lay open beside him, papers spilling across the floor like fallen leaves. For a second, no one moved. Then someone stepped around him. A woman in heels, her footsteps sharp and quick, walked past like she was avoiding a puddle. A man in a gray coat glanced down, frowned slightly, and kept going. A teenager lifted his phone, angling it just right. Jamal's chest tightened. "Yo, is he okay?" someone muttered, but the words floated into the air and disappeared. No one knelt. No one touched him. The train doors behind Jamal beeped once, a warning. He looked back. Inside, a seat near the window. Empty. Clean. Warm. He looked down at the money in his hand. $42. His fingers tightened around it until the edges of the bills pressed into his skin. The landlord's voice echoed in his mind. "Monday, Jamal. I'm not playing this time." Another beep from the train. The doors were about to close. Jamal looked at the man on the ground again. The way his body didn't move. The way his chest didn't rise. Something wasn't right. A cold feeling crawled up Jamal's spine. "Someone call 911, a voice said, but it sounded distant, like it belonged to someone who didn't plan to wait around. The train doors began to slide shut. Jamal took one step toward them, then stopped. His heart pounded hard against his ribs, loud enough he could hear it over the buzz of the lights. He thought about his mom's hands, dry, cracked from washing them too much at the hospital. Thought about his sister's inhaler, almost empty. Thought about the envelope taped to the fridge, red letters screaming, "Final notice." Another step toward the train. The doors were almost closed. Then he heard something else. A sound. A faint, broken gasp. Jamal turned fast. The man's fingers twitched against the tile. Barely. Like a signal too weak to send. That was it. That was enough. Jamal exhaled, sharp and steady, like he was making a decision his body already understood. "Man, forget it," someone behind him muttered. The train doors shut with a final hiss. The train pulled away, metal wheels screaming as it disappeared into the tunnel, taking its warmth and safety with it. Jamal didn't turn around. He ran. His shoes slapped against the cold tile as he dropped to his knees beside the man. Up close, the guy looked older than Jamal first thought. Late 60s, maybe. Pale. Too pale. His lips had a faint blue tint that didn't belong on anyone living. "Sir? Hey, can you hear me?" No response. Jamal flipped him carefully onto his back. The man's head lolled to the side, eyes half open but unfocused, like they were looking through everything instead of at it. "Come on. Come on." Jamal pressed 2 fingers against the man's neck, just like they taught him in school. Nothing. His stomach dropped. No pulse. "Yo, somebody call 911!" Jamal shouted, louder this time. A voice answered, distracted. Already did. But no one moved closer. No one knelt beside him. Jamal swallowed hard. He placed his hands in the center of the man's chest, fingers interlocked, arms locked straight. "Stay with me," he whispered. Then he pushed. Hard. 1, 2, 3. The rhythm came back to him slowly. Then all at once. The training from last year's health class. Something he never thought he'd actually use. 4, 5, 6. His palms sank into the man's chest, pushing down against bone and weight and silence. "Stay with me, man. Please." Around him, the platform seemed to fade. The voices, the footsteps, the cameras, all of it blurred into the background. There was only the count. 7, 8, 9. His arms started to burn. 10, 11, 12. The man didn't move. Jamal leaned down, pinched the man's nose, and gave 2 quick breaths. The air tasted stale, metallic, wrong. He pulled back, chest rising and falling fast, then back to compressions. 13, 14, 15. "Don't stop," someone said, but it sounded like advice, not help. Jamal ignored it. He kept going. 20, 21, 22. His knees pressed into the cold tile, sending sharp pain up his legs. His shoulders screamed with every push. Sweat gathered at the back of his neck despite the freezing air. 28, 29, 30. He leaned in again. 2 breaths. "Come on. Come on." Nothing. Jamal's vision blurred for a second. He blinked hard and kept going. 1, 2, 3. Then a sound. A rough, choking gasp. Jamal froze for half a second. The man's chest jerked under his hands. His mouth opened slightly, pulling in air like he was breaking through water after being held under too long. "Hey! Hey! Yeah, that's it!" Jamal leaned closer. The man's eyes fluttered. Pale blue. Confused. Searching. They landed on Jamal. Locked there. For a moment, everything else disappeared. The noise. The lights. The cold. Just 2 people, inches apart. The man's lips moved barely. No sound came out. Jamal leaned in. What? What did you say? The man's hand lifted weakly, trembling, and wrapped around Jamal's wrist. Not strong, not steady, but there, alive. Jamal let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Stay with me, he said softly. You're not going anywhere, okay? In the distance, sirens began to echo down into the station. Jamal didn't look away from the man's face. Didn't notice the phones still recording. Didn't notice the people stepping back now. He just stayed. And somewhere deep inside him, a quiet thought whispered, the train is gone. And everything just changed. The sound of the departing train still echoed faintly through the tunnel, a long metallic scream fading into silence. The warm air it left behind disappeared just as quickly, replaced by the cold bite of the underground. Jamal didn't move. His hands stayed on the man's chest, feeling the uneven rise and fall, like a fragile rhythm that could vanish at any second. The man's grip on his wrist trembled, weak but stubborn, like he was holding on onto the only thing anchoring him to the world. Yeah, that's it, Jamal whispered, leaning closer. Just breathe. Stay with me. Around them, the crowd shifted. Not closer, never closer, but in a loose circle, careful, distant. The glow of phone screens lit up faces in pale blue. Someone zoomed in. Someone whispered. Someone laughed nervously. Nobody knelt beside him. Jamal barely noticed anymore. His focus narrowed down to the man in front of him. The pale skin, the faint bluish tint still clinging to his lips. The eyes, those pale blue eyes, trying to stay open, fighting something deeper than exhaustion. You hear me? Jamal said. You're okay. Help's coming. The man's lips moved again. This time, a sound escaped. It wasn't a word, not really, just a breath shaped like one. Jamal leaned in, his ear close to the man's mouth. Say that again. Another breath. Softer. Broken. Jamal couldn't catch it. Hey, don't do that, he said quickly, a hint of panic creeping into his voice. Don't go quiet on me now. The man's fingers tightened slightly around Jamal's wrist, then loosened again, like even that effort was too much. Stay, Jamal said, firmer now. Stay right here. The fluorescent lights flickered above them, buzzing louder in the silence between breaths. Somewhere down the platform, a woman shifted her weight, her heels clicking once against the tile. The sound echoed, too loud for such a small movement. You should back up, she said, her voice sharp, uneasy. You don't know what he has. Jamal didn't even look at her. I know he's not breathing right, he said, keeping his voice steady. That's enough. He adjusted his hands slightly, remembering what his teacher had drilled into them. Center of the chest, straight arms. Don't stop unless he breathes or help arrives. His shoulders ached, his palms burned. But he kept going. The man's breathing hitched again, uneven, shallow. Not enough, not safe. Jamal pressed harder. Come on. Don't do this, he muttered under his breath. Not after all that. A voice crackled nearby. Jamal glanced to his side. His phone, he didn't remember pulling it out, lay on the ground, screen lit, speaker on. A dispatcher's voice came through, calm but tight, like someone holding control by a thread. Emergency services are on the way. Stay with him. Can you hear me? Yeah, Jamal said, breathless. Yeah, I got you. Is he breathing? Barely. He gasped a second ago. I don't think it's enough. Keep monitoring. If he stops again, resume compressions. You're doing the right thing. Jamal nodded, even though she couldn't see him. Okay. You're doing great, the voice added. For a second, that hit him harder than anything else. Nobody else had said that. Not the people watching. Not the ones filming. Not the ones stepping around like this was just another delay in their night. Just a voice through a phone. Jamal swallowed and focused again. The man's chest rose slightly. Fell. Rose again. Still uneven, but there. Stay with me, Jamal repeated, softer now. You hear that? You're still here. The man's eyes fluttered, then fixed on Jamal again. There was something in them now. Not just confusion, recognition. Like he was trying to remember something, or someone. Jamal felt it. Something shift in the air between them. Something quiet but heavy. Yeah, Jamal said, almost to himself. Don't forget me now. The man's lips moved again. Jamal leaned in closer than before. What? He asked. This time, a faint sound slipped through. A single syllable. Fragile. Almost lost before it formed. Jamal froze. Say it again, he urged. But the man's eyes drifted, losing focus. His grip loosened completely, fingers slipping from Jamal's wrist and falling back to the tile. No, 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 no. Jamal's heart kicked hard in his chest. The breathing stopped. Just like that. Silence. For half a second, Jamal stared, his mind blank. Then training snapped back in. He repositioned his hands and pushed. Hard. 1, 2, 3. Stay with me! He shouted now, louder than before. The crowd flinched at the sudden force in his voice. 4, 5, 6. His arms burned, his breath coming fast, matching the rhythm of his hands. 7, 8, 9. Come on! 10, 11, 12. The dispatcher's voice cut through again. Keep going. You're doing exactly what you need to do. Jamal gritted his teeth and kept pushing. The world narrowed again. Just the count. Just the pressure. Just the fight. 20. 21. 22. His vision blurred at the edges. Sweat dripped down his temple, cold against his skin. 28. 29. 30. He leaned in again. 2 breaths, then back to compressions. 1, 2, 3. The sound of sirens finally reached them, faint at first, then growing louder, cutting through the underground like a promise. Jamal didn't stop, didn't slow. He didn't know how long it had been anymore. Minutes, hours. It all felt the same. All that mattered was this, the man's chest beneath his hands, the fragile line between here and gone, and Jamal, 17 years old, freezing, exhausted, alone in a crowd, holding that line with everything he had, because if he let go, there would be nothing left to hold. Jamal pressed down harder, his arms shaking now, every muscle in his shoulders screaming. The rhythm was all that kept him steady. The count, the breath, the fight. Then footsteps, fast, heavy. Move, move, make space. 2 paramedics rushed in from the far end of the platform, their boots echoing against the tile, red emergency bags swinging between them. A woman with a tight braid dropped to her knees opposite Jamal, already pulling gloves on. A man beside her snapped open a case, wires and pads spilling out in practiced motion. How long's he been down? The woman asked sharply. I don't know, Jamal stammered, breathless. Maybe 8 minutes? I've been doing CPR. She glanced at him for half a second. just enough to see the sweat on his face, the way his hands didn't hesitate. "You did this?" she asked. "Yeah." A small nod. "Good. Slide back. We've got him." Jamal moved, but not far. Just enough to give them space. His knees stayed on the cold tile, his hands hovering uselessly now, still shaped like they belonged on the man's chest. The paramedics moved fast, efficient, focused. "Bag him," the woman said. The man placed a mask over the stranger's face, squeezing air into his lungs. Another set of hands pressed pads onto his chest. "Clear." The jolt made the man's body lift slightly, then fall back against the floor. Jamal flinched. The machine beeped, analyzing. "Again," the man said. Another shock, another jolt. Jamal held his breath. Then, a sound. Not loud, not strong, but there. A fragile, uneven breath. The woman leaned in, checking. Then she exhaled slowly. "We've got a rhythm, weak, but it's there." Jamal's chest loosened just a little. They lifted the man onto a stretcher, strapping him in with quick, practiced movements. As they moved him, something slipped from the inside pocket of his coat, a silver chain. It swung for a second in the air before dropping lightly against the man's chest. At the end of it, a small, polished pocket watch caught the flickering light. Jamal stared at it. Something about it felt important. Old. Like it had a story. "Hey!" the paramedic called out, already moving toward the elevator. "Kid." Jamal blinked, snapping out of it. "Yeah? What's your name?" "Jamal." "Jamal Carter." She gave him a look, not long, not dramatic, just honest. "You saved his life, Jamal Carter." Then they were gone. The stretcher rolled away, wheels rattling over tile, disappearing into the elevator with a sharp, metallic clang. The platform felt suddenly empty, like something had been pulled out of it. Jamal stayed where he was for a second longer, breathing, listening to the silence that followed chaos. Then, footsteps again. Different this time. Slower. Heavier. "All right. What do we have here?" Jamal turned. Two police officers approached from the stairwell. One older, broad-shouldered, his face set in a permanent frown. The other younger, quieter, hanging just a step behind. The older one, his badge read Garrison, looked from Jamal to the scattered papers, to the empty space where the man had been. Then his eyes dropped, to the ground beside Jamal's knee. The wallet. Black leather. Half open. Thick. Jamal hadn't even noticed it fall. Garrison stepped closer, picked it up, weighed it in his hand like it told him everything he needed to know. "Well now," he muttered. Jamal felt something shift in the air again, something colder than before. "Sir, Jamal started. "Hands!" Garrison snapped. Jamal blinked. "What?" "I said hands where I can see them. Now." Jamal slowly raised them, palms open, still damp, still shaking. "I was just helping. Turn around. Sir, you can check the cameras. Turn around." The words hit harder this time. Jamal swallowed and turned, pressing his palms against the cold column. The chill seeped through his skin instantly, grounding him in a way that felt wrong. "I didn't take anything," he said quickly. "I was doing CPR. Ask anybody." Garrison didn't respond. Instead, rough hands moved over Jamal's coat, checking pockets, pulling at seams like he was searching for something already decided. From the crowd, no one spoke. Phones still up, still recording, still silent. Garrison reached into Jamal's pocket and pulled out the folded cash. $42. He held it up between two fingers. "Late night for a high school kid," he said. "Walking around with cash like this." "I work," Jamal said, his voice tighter now. That's my money. For rent. Sure it is. The cuffs came out. Jamal's heart dropped. Sir, please. Click. Cold metal snapped around his wrist. The sound echoed louder than it should have. Click. The second cuff locked in place. Jamal winced as his arms were pulled slightly behind him. Not enough to hurt, but enough to remind him he wasn't in control anymore. I didn't do anything, he said, quieter now. Funny, Garrison replied. That's what they all say. The younger officer shifted, glancing between Jamal and the older man. His mouth opened slightly, like he might say something. He didn't. Sir, Jamal tried again. There's cameras. Right there. He nodded toward the ceiling. They saw everything. Garrison followed his gaze for half a second, then looked back at Jamal. I don't need cameras to tell me what this looks like. The words landed heavy. Around them, the platform had gone quieter. Not empty, but quieter. Like people sensed something they didn't want to be part of. Jamal stared at the tile beneath his feet. Same tile he'd been kneeling on minutes ago. Same spot where he'd been trying to keep a man alive. Now. He stood there, hands cuffed, treated like something else entirely. His chest tightened, not from fear, from something deeper, something that didn't have a name. Please, he said finally, just check the footage. A pause. The younger officer shifted again. Maybe we should, he started. Garrison cut him off with a look. Then, after a long second, he sighed like he was being inconvenienced. Fine, he muttered. We'll take a look. But he didn't take the cuffs off. Not yet. Jamal stood there, wrists aching, heart still pounding, staring at the floor while the world moved around him. Just minutes ago, he had been holding a life together. Now, he wasn't even allowed to hold his own. And somewhere in the back of his mind, one question kept echoing louder than everything else. If doing the right thing leads here, what does that make it worth? The answer didn't come. It didn't come when the tablet finally showed the footage, grainy black and white images of the platform, the fall, the crowd stepping around, Jamal dropping to his knees, his hands moving, steady, relentless. It didn't come when the younger officer cleared his throat and said quietly, he didn't take anything. It didn't come when Garrison unlocked the cuffs, slow and deliberate, each click louder than it needed to be. Jamal rubbed his wrists, the skin red and sore, but said nothing. No apology came either. Get out of here, Garrison muttered, already turning away. Be glad we checked. Be glad. Jamal stared at the floor for a second, the words settling heavy in his chest. Then he bent down, picked up the crumpled bills from where they had been dropped, and folded them carefully. Not because they needed folding, but because it gave his hands something to do. He didn't look at anyone as he walked away, not the officers, not the people still holding up their phones, not the empty space where the man had been. He just walked. Up the stairs, out of the station, into the cold. The night air hit harder outside. Wind cut through the narrow streets, carrying the smell of damp asphalt and distant exhaust. Snow had started to fall, not heavy, just thin flakes drifting under the streetlights, catching the glow like dust in the air. Jamal pulled his jacket tighter, but it didn't help much. His phone buzzed once in his pocket. Then again. He didn't check it. He already knew what it would say. Missed train. Next arrival, 5:02 a.m. He glanced at the time. 1:18 a.m. 4 hours. 4 hours in the cold. 4 hours with nothing but the sound of his own footsteps. Jamal exhaled slowly and started walking. The city at that hour felt different, quieter, but not peaceful. The kind of quiet that carried tension, like something always just out of sight. A car passed every few minutes. Somewhere far off, a siren wailed, rising and falling like a reminder of everything that could go wrong. Jamal kept his head down. His shoes slapped against wet pavement, soaking through faster than he wanted to admit. The cold crept up through the soles, biting at his toes. He didn't stop, didn't slow. Because if he stopped, he might feel it. Everything. He turned onto a narrow block lined with old brick buildings, their windows dark. A flickering streetlight buzzed overhead, casting uneven shadows across the sidewalk. A man sat against the wall near a closed deli, wrapped in layers of blankets that didn't look warm enough. "Hey," the man called softly. "You got $1?" Jamal slowed for half a second. His hand tightened around the money in his pocket. $42. Not his to give. Not really. He kept walking. "Hey," the man called again, a little louder this time. "Just $1." Jamal didn't turn back. The guilt came anyway. It always did. The wind picked up as he crossed into Queens, the streets opening wider, the buildings lower, more worn. Trash bags piled near corners. A stray shopping cart rattled against a fence somewhere in the distance. His legs started to ache, then burn, then go numb. Still, he kept moving. He thought about the platform, the man's face, those pale blue eyes locking onto his, the grip on his wrist. "You saved his life." The paramedic's voice echoed in his head. Then, "You, hands where I can see them," the sound of the cuffs, the weight of them, the way no one said anything. Jamal swallowed hard and kept walking. By the time he reached his block, the sky had begun to shift, dark blue softening into gray. The first hint of morning pushed through the clouds, weak and cold. He climbed the steps to his building slowly, his legs heavy now. 3 flights. Each one felt longer than the last. When he reached apartment 3B, he paused for a second, his hand resting on the door. He could hear the faint hum of the heater inside, the soft creak of pipes. Home. He unlocked the door as quietly as he could and slipped inside. The apartment was dim, lit only by the yellow glow of a small lamp over the kitchen table. His mother sat there, still in her scrubs, her head resting against her hand. A half-empty cup of coffee sat in front of her, gone cold hours ago. Her phone lay beside it, screen dark. She had been waiting. Jamal stood there for a second, just watching her. The lines in her face looked deeper in the soft light. Tired, worn, still strong, still holding everything together. He stepped forward quietly and took the money from his pocket. $42. He placed it gently on the table, right next to her hand. Didn't wake her. Didn't say a word. He moved down the narrow hallway, careful not to make the floorboards creak. The bedroom door was half open. Inside, his little sister lay curled under a thin blanket, her small body rising and falling unevenly. The faint wheeze in her chest filled the quiet room, soft but constant. Jamal stepped inside. He sat on the edge of the bed and watched her for a moment. Then, slowly, he lay down beside her, pulling the blanket up around them both. She stirred slightly, shifting closer, her hand finding his shirt like it always did. Jamal wrapped an arm around her, held her close, counted her breaths. 1, 2, 3. He kept counting until they slowed, until the rhythm steadied, until it felt safe. The ceiling above him had a water stain shaped like something he couldn't quite name. A continent. An island. a place far away. He stared at it without blinking. The events of the night pressed in on him, heavy and sharp, but he didn't let them break through, didn't let himself feel it. Not yet. He didn't cry. He hadn't cried in years. Instead, he just lay there, listening to his sister breathe, feeling the cold slowly leave his bones. Outside, the city woke up. Cars, voices, doors opening and closing, life moving forward, like nothing had happened. Jamal closed his eyes, but sleep didn't come. Only one thought stayed with him, repeating over and over, quieter each time but never disappearing. If doing the right thing changes nothing, why does it still feel like everything changed? 3 days passed. 3 days of silence. Jamal went to school, worked his shifts, came home, slept when he could, ate when he remembered. He moved through it all like someone walking underwater, everything slower, heavier, quieter than it should be. He didn't talk about the station, not to his friends, not to his teachers, not even to his mother. It stayed locked somewhere deep inside him, like a door he didn't want to open again. Because behind that door was the moment everything shifted, and he wasn't ready to face what that meant. Across the city, in a very different world, something else was happening. On the 7th floor of a private hospital in Manhattan, the air smelled clean. Too clean. Like nothing bad was allowed to exist there. Machines hummed softly. Monitors blinked steady green lines. Sunlight filtered through tall glass windows, pale and distant. In the center of the room, William Harrington lay in a hospital bed. His chest rose slowly, wrapped in white bandages. A thin tube ran beneath his nose. His skin, once pale and lifeless, now held a faint color again. Alive. Barely, but alive. A woman sat near the window, her posture straight, her movements precise. Emily Harrington, early 40s, sharp eyes, dark coat draped neatly over the back of her chair. A laptop rested on her knees, filled with emails she hadn't really read. Her focus wasn't on the screen. It hadn't been for 3 days. Every few minutes, her eyes flicked toward the bed, waiting, watching, counting. The machines did most of the talking, the slow, steady beep of a heart that had almost stopped. She leaned back slightly, rubbing the bridge of her nose. Doctors had said it was close, very close. If help hadn't come when it did. She didn't finish the thought. She never did. The monitor changed, just slightly. A shift in rhythm. Emily's eyes snapped up. Her father's fingers twitched. Once. Then again. "Dad?" she said quietly, already on her feet. His eyes fluttered beneath closed lids. A faint crease formed in his brow, like he was trying to pull himself through something heavy. "Dad," she said again, closer now. Slowly, painfully. His eyes opened. Not wide, not strong, but open. Gray-blue, clouded with confusion, searching the room like he didn't recognize it. "Easy," Emily said, her voice softer now, controlled but fragile at the edges. "You're in the hospital. You're okay." His lips parted slightly. No sound came out at first. She reached for the water beside him, wetting his lips gently. He swallowed. Tried again. "Emily." The word came out thin. Barely there. But it was enough. Her shoulders dropped, tension releasing in a quiet breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "I'm here," she said. He blinked slowly, his gaze shifting toward the window, then back to her. "How long?" 3 days, she replied. You had surgery. They said it went well. He absorbed that. Slowly. Like each piece of information had to find its place. Then something changed. A flicker. A memory. His eyes sharpened just a little. He started, his voice rough. I was on the platform. Emily's posture stiffened. Yes, she said carefully. You had a cardiac event. Someone called for help. He shook his head, just slightly. The movement cost him. No, he whispered. Not someone. His hand lifted weakly from the bed, hovering in the air like it was trying to reach for something that wasn't there. A boy. Emily frowned. A boy, she repeated. He nodded faintly. Black kid. Thin coat. His voice cracked, each word pulled from deep inside him. Cold hands. Emily stepped closer. Dad, the paramedic said. He stayed, William interrupted, his voice still soft, but firmer now. Everyone else walked away. The words hung in the room, heavy, real. Emily didn't speak. I remember, he continued slowly. The tile, cold, people stepping over me. His breathing grew uneven for a second, the memory pulling at him. I heard the train leave. His eyes found hers, but he didn't. Silence filled the space between them. He stayed, William repeated. Emily's expression shifted. Not dramatically. Just enough. From concern to something sharper. Focused. Do you know his name? She asked. William shook his head. No, he said, but I remember his face. He closed his eyes for a moment, like he could still see it. Clear as anything, he whispered. Like it's right here. Emily followed his gaze instinctively, then looked back at him. Dad, you need to rest, she said gently. We can talk about this later. No. The word came out stronger than anything he'd said so far. Emily paused. William's eyes opened again, steady now despite the exhaustion behind them. Find him, he said. She hesitated. Dad. Find him. Not loud, not dramatic, but final. The kind of tone that didn't ask. It decided. Emily studied him for a long second. Then she nodded once. Okay, she said. I will. William relaxed slightly against the pillow, the tension leaving his face. He saved me, he murmured. Emily didn't respond right away. She turned, walking slowly back toward the window. The city stretched out beyond the glass. Tall buildings, endless movement. A world that never stopped. Somewhere in that city, a boy in a thin coat had made a choice, and her father was alive because of it. Emily picked up her phone. Her reflection stared back at her in the dark screen. Sharp, controlled. But something else now. Something new. Get me the station footage from Roosevelt, she said into the phone as it connected. Saturday night, around 11:30. A pause. Yes. All of it. She ended the call and looked back at her father. He had already drifted back into sleep, his breathing steady now, the machines echoing it in quiet rhythm. Emily's gaze hardened slightly. Let's see who you are, she said under her breath. And across the city. Jamal Carter had no idea that someone powerful was already looking for him. By noon the next day, the footage sat open on 3 separate screens in Emily Harrington's office. The room itself was quiet, high above the city, wrapped in glass and steel. Manhattan stretched below her like a map, orderly, controlled, predictable, unlike what she was watching. The video rolled again, grainy at first, fixed angle, a wide shot of the Roosevelt platform, a man in a wool coat stepping forward, then collapsing. Emily leaned closer. She watched the people move, not toward him, around him. One woman stepped clean over his arm. Another man slowed just enough to look, then kept walking. A teenager raised his phone, framing the scene like it was entertainment. Emily's jaw tightened. "Pause," she said. Her assistant froze the frame. There he was, her father, face down, alone. Emily didn't blink. "Keep going." The footage resumed. 10 seconds passed. 15. 20. Still no one moved. Then a blur from the left side of the frame. A boy. Thin jacket. Quick steps. No hesitation. He dropped to his knees beside her father, like the decision had already been made before he even got there. Emily watched carefully now. Everything slowed in her mind. The boy checked for a pulse, positioned his hands, started compressions. Not clumsy, not guessing. He knew what he was doing. "Zoom in," she said. The technician adjusted the feed. The image sharpened just enough. Emily leaned forward. The boy's face came into view. Young, tired, focused. No fear, just determination. "Run that again," she said quietly. They did. She watched every movement this time, every push, every breath, every second he didn't stop. Minutes passed on the footage. The crowd grew. Phones came out. No one stepped in. The boy didn't look up once. Emily exhaled slowly. "He stayed," she murmured. The words sounded different now. He hadn't just stayed. He had carried the moment, held it together when everything else broke apart. "Skip ahead," she said. The footage jumped, paramedics rushing in, the boy stepping back, the stretcher rolling away. Then, the police. Emily's eyes narrowed. She watched the interaction closely. The officer approached, looked at the boy, looked at the wallet. That was all it took. No questions, no pause, just assumption. Emily's lips pressed into a thin line. The next part unfolded fast. Hands against the wall. Search. Cash pulled from his pocket. Cuffs. She sat back slightly. "Stop," she said. The room went still. Nobody spoke. The silence stretched. "Then play it," she said again. She needed to see it through. The video continued. The boy didn't fight, didn't argue beyond a few words, didn't lash out. He just stood there, quiet, while everyone watched. Emily's fingers curled slightly against the desk. She had seen things like this before, read reports, reviewed cases, but seeing it like this, unfiltered, undeniable, it was different. "Do we have audio?" she asked. "No, ma'am, just video." She nodded once. It didn't matter. The story was clear, too clear. "Pull his name," she said. Her assistant tapped quickly on a keyboard, cross-referencing timestamps, police logs, dispatch records. A few seconds passed. Then, "Got it," he said. "Tyler, sorry. Jamal Carter, 17. Released on site. No charges." Emily repeated it softly. Jamal Carter. The name settled in the room, real now, not just a face on a screen, a person, a life. Background, she said. Already pulling, the assistant replied. More screens lit up, addresses, school records, employment, a small apartment in Queens, part-time job at a pizza shop, mother, Denise Carter, registered nurse, younger sister, medical notes flagged, asthma. Emily's gaze flicked over the details quickly, absorbing everything. Then, another file opened, housing records. Her eyes paused. Scroll back, she said. The assistant did. Emily leaned in again. Eviction notice. Final warning. Same address. Same family. Her expression changed. Subtly. But enough. Who owns the building? She asked. The assistant clicked through another database. Pinnacle Residential Holdings. Emily didn't react immediately, but something in her posture shifted. Pull their board, she said. More typing. More screens. Names appeared. Executives. Directors. Investors. Emily scanned them quickly, then stopped. One name caught her eye. Familiar. Too familiar. She didn't say anything yet, just stared at it for a second longer than the others, then looked back at the footage. Jamal Carter, kneeling, helping, getting handcuffed. Emily straightened slowly. This isn't random, she said. No one answered. They didn't need to. She picked up her phone. Get me everything on Officer Garrison, she said. Complaints, conduct reports, internal reviews, all of it. A pause. And I want a full audit on Pinnacle Residential. Start with that building in Queens. She ended the call before anyone could ask why. Because she already knew. This wasn't just about a boy who did the right thing and got punished for it. This was something else. Something bigger. Something built into the system itself. Emily turned back to the screen one last time. Jamal's face filled the frame. Focused. Determined. Alone. You didn't just save my father, she said quietly. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass behind the screen. Cold. Sharp. Certain. You just walked into something you don't even know exists yet. And somewhere across the city, Jamal Carter was still living like nothing had changed, not knowing that the truth was already starting to move toward him, and when it arrived, it would change everything. But it didn't arrive all at once. It came quietly, like most dangerous things do. The next evening, the city moved like nothing had happened. Cars honked. People rushed. Neon signs flickered to life as the sky darkened. The same train lines ran. The same platforms filled and emptied. And Jamal Carter walked home. Backpack slung over one shoulder, hands buried deep in his jacket pockets. The wind had picked up again. Colder tonight. Sharper. It cut across his face as he turned the corner onto his block. He kept his head down. Same route. Same rhythm. Same silence. At least that's what he thought. The sound of an engine rolled up beside him. Slow. Too slow. Jamal didn't look at first. He kept walking. The car matched his pace. His chest tightened. Then, the window slid down. Jamal Carter. The voice was calm, flat. Jamal stopped. He didn't need to look. He already knew. Officer Garrison. Jamal turned slowly. The patrol car idled beside the curb, engine humming low. Garrison sat behind the wheel, one arm resting casually on the window frame. The streetlight above cast a dull glow across his face, carving sharp shadows under his eyes. The younger officer wasn't there this time. Just him. Sir, Jamal said quietly. Garrison didn't respond right away. He studied him instead, like he was sizing something up. Then, "You walk this way every night?" he asked. Jamal hesitated. "Yes, sir, Garrison nodded slightly, like he already knew the answer. "Get in," he said. Jamal blinked. "What?" "Get in the car." Jamal's pulse quickened. "I didn't do anything." "I didn't say you did," Garrison interrupted, voice still calm. "Just get in. We're talking." A pause. The street felt quieter suddenly. Too quiet. Jamal looked around. No one nearby. No one watching. He opened the back door slowly and got in. The door shut with a heavy thud. Inside, the car smelled like old leather and something faintly chemical. Garrison didn't turn around. Didn't drive. He just sat there, hands resting on the wheel, silent. Jamal waited. Seconds stretched. Then, "You made a lot of noise the other night," Garrison said. Jamal frowned slightly. "Sir?" "Station. Cameras. Dispatch. You had people talking." "I was helping him," Jamal said, his voice steady but careful. "He needed help. I know what you were doing." Another pause. Garrison turned slightly in his seat now, just enough to look at him. "But here's the thing," he continued. "Not everything needs to be talked about after." Jamal felt something shift in his chest. "What do you mean?" Garrison studied him again, then smiled. Not warm, not kind, just thin. "I mean," he said slowly, "you did your part. Good for you. Guy lived. Everybody's happy." He leaned back slightly. "So now, you let it go." Jamal's fingers tightened in his lap. "I didn't say anything," he said. "I didn't go to anyone. I know." Garrison nodded once. "That's good." Silence again. Then, "You got a family, right?" Garrison asked casually. Jamal's stomach dropped. "Yes, sir." "Mom works at the hospital," Garrison continued. "Long hours. Hard job." Jamal didn't respond. Garrison kept going. "Little sister, too. Sick, isn't she?" Jamal's breath caught. The car suddenly felt smaller. "How do you know that?" he asked, quieter now. Garrison shrugged. "It's my job to know things." He tapped his fingers lightly on the steering wheel. "Be a shame if something happened," he added. "Jobs get lost. Paperwork gets complicated." Jamal stared at him. The meaning was clear. Too clear. "I didn't do anything wrong," Jamal said, his voice lower now. "I just helped someone." "I know," Garrison said again. But this time there was something else behind it. Something colder. "That's not the point." Jamal's chest tightened. "Then what is?" Garrison turned fully now, facing him. "The point," he said slowly, "is that sometimes doing the right thing puts you in places you don't belong." The words landed hard. Jamal didn't speak. Garrison held his gaze. "You understand what I'm saying?" A long pause. Jamal swallowed. "Yes, sir, good." Garrison nodded once, satisfied. "Because I'd hate for your mother to come home one day and find out her job's gone, or for your landlord to suddenly decide he's done waiting." Jamal's hands clenched into fists, but he kept his face still. "Or worse," Garrison added, his voice dropping slightly, "for your little sister to not get the care she needs." Silence. Heavy. Final. Garrison leaned back again, like the conversation was over. Forget the station, he said. Forget the man. Forget everything about that night. Jamal stared straight ahead. Yes, sir, good boy. The words hit deeper than anything else. Garrison reached forward, unlocking the door. You can go. Jamal didn't move right away. For a second, he just sat there, the weight of it all pressing down on him. Then he opened the door, stepped out, closed it behind him. The car pulled away immediately. No hesitation, no goodbye. Just gone. Jamal stood on the sidewalk, the cold air hitting him like a wave. His heart pounded in his ears. His hands trembled slightly. He shoved them back into his pockets, forced himself to breathe. In, out, in, out. He looked down the street. His building was just ahead. Lights on, home. But it didn't feel the same anymore. Nothing did. He walked the rest of the way slowly, each step heavier than the last. The conversation replayed in his head, over and over. His mother, his sister, the threats, the warning. Forget everything. When he reached the building, he paused at the door. His reflection stared back at him in the glass. Same face, same jacket, same life. But something inside him had shifted, cracked. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The hallway smelled like old paint and damp carpet. Familiar. Safe. But now, it felt like a place that could be taken away. At any moment. Jamal climbed the stairs quietly, each step echoing, each thought louder than the last. He reached the apartment door, stood there, hand on the handle, and for the first time since that night, he felt it. Not fear, not anger, something deeper. A question. If telling the truth could destroy everything he loved, what was the right thing now? He opened the door, stepped inside, and closed it behind him. But the answer didn't follow him in. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that didn't feel like rest. It felt like something waiting. Jamal stood by the door for a moment longer than usual, his hand still on the handle, like he wasn't sure if he had really come home or just stepped into another kind of problem. The kitchen light was still on. His mother sat at the table again, just like 3 nights ago. Same scrubs, same tired posture, but this time she wasn't asleep. She was watching him. Jamal froze. Hey, she said softly. He nodded once. Hey. Her eyes moved over him slowly, not rushed, not careless. Careful. Too careful. You're late, she said. Yeah, he replied. Work ran over. It came out automatic, smooth, practiced. But she didn't nod, didn't look away. Come here, she said. Jamal hesitated, then walked over. Each step felt heavier than it should have. He pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. The wood creaked under his weight. For a second, neither of them spoke. The hum of the refrigerator filled the space. Then, take your hand off your face, she said. Jamal blinked. What? Your cheek, she said quietly. Take your hand off it. He hadn't even realized he was touching it. Slowly, he lowered his hand. Her eyes locked onto the faint redness there. The mark wasn't obvious, but it was there, and she saw it. Who did that? She asked. Jamal looked down at the table. It's nothing. Jamal. Her voice didn't rise, didn't break, but it didn't bend either. He stayed silent. She leaned forward slightly. Look at me. He didn't. Jamal, she repeated. He lifted his eyes, and for the first time since that night, something cracked. Not fully, but enough. Who did that? She asked again. The question hung in the air, heavy, unavoidable. Jamal swallowed. It's not a big deal, he said. She didn't react, didn't argue, just watched him and waited. That was always the hardest part. Not the yelling, not the anger, the waiting. Because she wasn't going to let it go. Not this time. Jamal exhaled slowly. And then, he told her. Not all at once, piece by piece, the station, the CPR, the cuffs, the walk home, the car, Garrison, the threats, her job, his sister. Every word felt heavier than the last. By the time he finished, the room felt smaller, tighter, like the walls had moved in. His mother didn't interrupt once, didn't cry, didn't speak. She just listened. Every second of it. When he was done, silence filled the space again. Jamal looked down at the table. He expected something, anger, fear, maybe even disappointment. Instead, he heard her inhale, slow, controlled. Then she reached for her phone. Mom, don't. She dialed, fast, certain. Mom, please. She held up a hand, not harsh, but firm. And Jamal stopped. The phone rang once, twice. Then, Ms. Harrington, his mother said, her voice steady. Jamal's head snapped up. He hadn't told her that name. Not directly. But she had heard enough. Connected the pieces. I'm sorry to call this late, she continued. My name is Denise Carter. I'm Jamal's mother. A pause. Jamal watched her, his heart pounding again. But this time not from fear. Something else. Something rising. He told me everything, she said. Another pause. Her expression didn't change, but her eyes did. They hardened, sharpened. My son saved your father's life, she said. And now he's being threatened for it. Silence. Jamal could hear a faint voice through the phone, but not the words. Then, his mother leaned forward slightly. Listen to me, she said, quieter now, but stronger. I don't need sympathy. I don't need thanks, a beat. I need you to fix this. The words landed like something solid, unmovable, final. Jamal stared at her. He had never heard her sound like that before. Not at work, not at home, not ever. I've spent 19 years in a hospital, she continued. I've watched people fight to stay alive. I've fought for them when no one else would. Her grip tightened slightly on the phone. I'm not afraid of a man with a badge, she said. And I'm not letting my son carry this alone. Another pause. Longer this time. Then, good, she said simply, and ended the call. The room went quiet again. But it wasn't the same quiet. This one felt different, charged, alive. Jamal stared at her. You shouldn't have done that, he said softly. She looked at him, really looked at him. Yes, she said. I should have. He shook his head slightly. You don't know what they can do. I do, she replied. No hesitation, no doubt. I've seen what happens when people stay quiet, she added. It doesn't make things better. Jamal looked down again. His hands rested on the table now, still slightly trembling. I didn't want you involved, he said. She reached across the table, placed her hand over his. Warm. Steady. You don't get to decide that, she said gently. He looked up. Her eyes were softer now, but still strong. You did something good, she continued, and they tried to turn it into something ugly. A pause. We don't let that stand. Jamal swallowed. Something in his chest shifted. The fear was still there. The weight. The uncertainty. But now, there was something else beside it. Support. Strength. A line he didn't have to hold alone anymore. Across the city, in a glass office overlooking the night skyline, Emily Harrington stood by the window, her phone still in her hand. She hadn't moved since the call ended. The reflection staring back at her wasn't the same one from earlier. This one looked sharper, colder, focused. She replayed the words in her mind. My son saved your father's life. Now fix this. Emily exhaled slowly, then turned. Get me internal affairs, she said. Her assistant looked up, startled. And a media contact, Emily added. I want that footage ready to go. A pause. Everything? The assistant asked carefully. Emily didn't hesitate. Everything. She picked up her coat. The city lights reflected in her eyes now. Bright. Unforgiving. Someone decided to make an example out of that boy, she said quietly. Her voice dropped, just enough to carry something dangerous beneath it. Now we make one out of them. Back in the small apartment in Queens, Jamal sat at the kitchen table, his mother's hand still over his. The fear hadn't disappeared, but it wasn't controlling him anymore. Not completely. For the first time since that night, he wasn't alone in it. And somewhere deep down, he realized something else. The story wasn't ending. It was just beginning. By morning, the city felt different. Not quieter, not louder. Just charged. Like something unseen had been set in motion overnight, and now everything was waiting for it to break through. Jamal felt it the moment he stepped outside. The air was the same, cold, sharp, biting at his cheeks, but people looked different. Or maybe he was the one looking differently now. He pulled his jacket tighter and started walking toward school. Halfway down the block, his phone buzzed. Once. Then again. Then again. He frowned and pulled it out. Notifications stacked on the screen. Messages. Unknown numbers. Social media alerts he barely used. His thumb hovered. Then he tapped one. A video loaded. Grainy. Familiar. His chest tightened. The station. The platform. The man falling. Jamal's breath slowed as the video continued. There he was, running, dropping to his knees, starting CPR. The angle shifted. Another camera. Closer this time. His hands. His face, the sweat. The focus. Then, the police, the wallet. The push against the column, the cuffs. Jamal stopped walking. Right there on the sidewalk. Cars passed. People moved around him. But he didn't move. The video ended. A headline appeared beneath it. Teen saves man's life. Then gets treated like a suspect. Jamal stared at the screen. His heart pounded. But not like before. This wasn't fear. Not exactly. It was something else. Something rising. He scrolled. Another post. Another headline. Another clip. Caught on camera. Heroic act turns into public humiliation. Comments flooded beneath. Thousands. Maybe more. He saved that man and they cuffed him? This is wrong. Who is this kid? Jamal's hand trembled slightly. He locked the phone. Put it back in his pocket. And stood there for a second longer. Then he kept walking. Across the city, screens lit up, phones, tablets, TVs in coffee shops and waiting rooms. The footage spread fast, faster than anyone expected. By 9 a.m., it was on local news. By 10, national. By noon, everyone had seen it. In a newsroom downtown, voices overlapped in sharp bursts. Run it again. Get the family. Find the officer's name. Screens flickered with the same image. Jamal kneeling on cold tile, holding a life together while the world watched. Then, being pushed, searched, cuffed. The contrast was undeniable, and people noticed. At a precinct across town, the atmosphere shifted too. Phones buzzed, screens refreshed, whispers turned into conversations, then into tension. Officer Garrison stood in the middle of it all, his jaw tight, his posture rigid. A TV mounted in the corner replayed the footage again, and again, and again. His face appeared briefly in one of the clips. Not clear, but enough. The room felt smaller. He turned it off. But it didn't matter. It was already everywhere. Back in Queens, Jamal walked into school. The hallway noise hit him like usual, lockers slamming, voices echoing, but something was off. Heads turned, not all of them, but enough. He felt it. Eyes on him, he kept walking. One step, then another. "Yo," someone said behind him. Jamal didn't stop. "Hey, yo, that's you, right?" He slowed, turned slightly. A kid held up his phone. The video paused on his face. Jamal looked at it, then at him. Didn't answer, just turned back and kept walking. By lunchtime, it was everywhere. Every table, every conversation, every screen. Some people looked at him with something new. Respect. Others, curiosity. Like he had become something they were trying to understand. But Jamal didn't feel like anything had changed. Inside, it still felt the same. Heavy, uncertain, unfinished. That afternoon, back in the apartment, his mother stood in front of the TV. The news played in a loop. 17-year-old Jamal Carter, who performed life-saving CPR on a man at Roosevelt Station, was detained by police despite clear evidence. She muted it. Didn't need to hear the rest. She had already lived it. Jamal stood behind her, silent, watching. "You see this?" she asked. He nodded. "They're not hiding it anymore," she said. He didn't respond. She turned to him. "This is bigger now." Jamal looked at her. "I didn't want this," he said quietly. "I know," she replied. A pause. "But sometimes," she added, "it's not about what you want." Across the city, in a high-rise office, Emily Harrington stood before a wall of screens. Each one played a different angle, a different version of the same truth. She watched them all, calm, focused, satisfied, but not finished. "Media's picking it up faster than expected," her assistant said. Emily nodded slightly. "Good." Another screen lit up. "Breaking news. Officer under investigation following viral arrest video." Emily didn't smile, but something in her eyes shifted. This was the beginning of something larger. Not just exposure, accountability. She picked up her phone. "Push the full report," she said. "All of it. No redactions." A pause. "Yes," she added. "Now." That evening, Jamal sat at the kitchen table again. Same spot, same light. But everything felt different. His phone buzzed nonstop beside him. Messages he didn't read, calls he didn't answer. His mother sat across from him, watching, waiting. "You okay?" she asked. Jamal stared at the table. "I don't know," he said. And for the first time, that was the truth. Outside, the city moved faster now, louder, more aware. A story had broken, and it wasn't slowing down. Because this time, people were watching, really watching. And Jamal Carter, whether he wanted it or not, had become the center of it. The car arrived at exactly 9:58 a.m. black, polished, quiet. It didn't honk, didn't idle loudly. It just appeared at the curb like it belonged there. Jamal stood at the window watching it. His mother stood beside him, arms folded. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Then, "That's for us," she said. It wasn't a question. Jamal exhaled slowly. "I don't have to go," he said. She looked at him. "Yes," she replied. "You do, not harsh, not forceful, just certain." Jamal glanced back at the car. The driver stepped out, older man, calm posture, dressed sharp but not flashy. He opened the rear door and waited. No rush, no pressure, just waiting. Jamal grabbed his jacket. The ride across the city felt longer than it should have. Not because of traffic, because of silence. Jamal sat in the back seat, hands resting on his knees, eyes fixed on the passing streets. The neighborhoods changed gradually. Brick buildings gave way to cleaner facades, then glass towers, then tree-lined streets that looked like they belonged in a different version of the same city. His mother sat beside him, straight-backed, composed. She hadn't said much since they got in. Didn't need to. Everything that needed to be said was already understood. When the car finally stopped, Jamal looked up. The house in front of them didn't look like a house. It looked like something out of a magazine. Tall, elegant, warm light spilling from the windows. A quiet kind of wealth. Nothing loud, nothing exaggerated, just undeniable. Jamal swallowed. "You ready?" his mother asked. He nodded, but he wasn't. The door opened before they could knock. Emily Harrington stood there. No suit this time. No office behind her. Just a simple sweater. Her hair pulled back. Her expression softer than Jamal expected. "Jamal," she said. His name sounded different coming from her. More intentional. "This must be your mother," she added, extending a hand. "Ms. Carter." Denise shook it firmly. "Thank you for having us." Emily stepped aside. "Please come in." The warmth hit immediately. Not just temperature, something else. The smell of fresh bread lingered in the air, soft and comforting. A fireplace crackled quietly in the corner of a large living room. Everything felt still, calm, safe. Jamal hesitated for half a second before stepping inside. His shoes felt too loud on the polished floor, too out of place. He kept his hands close to his sides. Didn't touch anything. Didn't want to. "He's been waiting," Emily said quietly. Jamal's chest tightened slightly. "Is he okay?" he asked. She nodded. "He is. Because of you." They moved through the house slowly, past wide hallways and tall windows, until they reached the living room. And there, sitting near the fire, was the man from the platform. William Harrington. He looked different now. Weaker. Older. But unmistakably the same. The same pale blue eyes. The same presence. Jamal stopped a few steps away. William looked up. For a second, neither of them spoke. Then, "There you are," William said. His voice was softer than before, but steady. Jamal stepped forward slowly. "Yes, sir," he said. William extended his hand. Jamal hesitated, then took it. The grip was weak, but warm. Real. "You stayed," William said, looking at him directly. Jamal swallowed. "I just did what anyone would do." William shook his head slightly. No, he said. You didn't. The room fell quiet. You stayed, William repeated. When everyone else walked away. Jamal didn't know what to say, so he said nothing. They sat, talked, slowly, carefully. William asked simple questions. School, work, family. Jamal answered. Short, honest. No exaggeration, no performance. Just truth. Denise spoke too, filling in the spaces Jamal left quiet. Emily listened, watched. Every detail. At some point, William leaned back slightly, his breathing steady but measured. I won't take much of your time, he said. I get tired faster these days. Jamal nodded. William reached to the side, picking up a small wooden box from the table. He held it for a moment, then slid it across to Jamal. Open it, he said. Jamal looked at it, then at him. Then slowly, he opened the lid. Inside, a silver pocket watch. The same one. The one that had slipped from his coat on the platform. Jamal's fingers hovered over it. Didn't touch. It belonged to my father, William said, and his before him. Jamal looked up. I can't take that, he said quickly. William smiled faintly. You can, he replied. But that's not why I brought you here. He nodded toward the side table. A folded document sat there. Jamal hadn't noticed it before. Read that, William said. Jamal picked it up, unfolded it. His eyes moved slowly across the page, then stopped, then moved again. Slower this time. His brow furrowed. Sir, It's a trust, William said simply. For you. Jamal looked up, confused. Full tuition, William continued. Any school you get into. Living expenses, support for your family. Jamal's grip tightened on the paper. This is too much, he said. William shook his head. It's not enough. Silence filled the room again. Jamal looked down at the document, then at his mother, then back at William. I didn't do it for this, he said quietly. I know, William replied. That was the point. That was the reason. That's why you deserve it. Jamal stared at him. The weight of it all pressed in at once. The station, the cuffs, the threats, the walk home. Everything. All leading here, to this moment, this offer, this chance. But something inside him hesitated. Not fear, not doubt, something deeper. What happens if I say no? He asked. William smiled slightly. Then you say no, he said. Simple. No pressure. No condition. Jamal looked down again. At the paper. At the words that could change everything. His fingers tightened, loosened, tightened again. The room stayed quiet. Waiting. Not pushing. Just waiting. And for the first time since that night, Jamal realized something. This choice was his. The paper felt heavier than it should have. Not because of the ink, not because of the numbers, but because of what it meant. Jamal sat there, the document resting in his hands, the fire crackling softly behind him. The warmth in the room pressed gently against his skin, but inside something colder still lingered. He read the lines again. Full tuition, housing, medical support, stability. Words that didn't belong to his life. Not until now. He lowered the paper slowly, looked at William, then at Emily, then at his mother. She didn't nod, didn't shake her head. She just watched him, like she always had, waiting for him to decide who he was going to be. "I didn't stay for this," Jamal said quietly. William nodded once. "I know. I didn't even think—" Jamal stopped, searching for the right words. "I just saw him. And I stayed." William leaned forward slightly, the movement careful, deliberate. "That's exactly it," he said. Jamal frowned. "What do you mean?" William reached for the small wooden box again and opened it himself this time. The silver pocket watch caught the light, its surface worn smooth from years of use. He turned it over in his hands, thoughtful. "My father used to tell me something," William said. "He said the world is full of trains." Jamal listened. Trains for money. Trains for comfort. Trains for getting ahead. Everyone's always running to catch one. William's eyes lifted to meet his, but every once in a while he continued, "You're standing there, and something happens." He paused. "And you have to decide whether you're getting on that train or staying behind." The room grew quieter. "You missed your train," William said. Jamal swallowed. "Yeah. And because you did," William added softly, "I'm still here." Silence settled between them again. Not heavy this time. Not tense, just real. Jamal looked down at the watch, at the reflection of the fire dancing across its surface. He thought about the platform, the cold tile under his knees, the weight of the man's chest beneath his hands, the moment he heard that breath. Then, the cuffs, the walk, the threats, everything that followed, all of it tied to one choice, one moment, one decision: stay or leave. "What if I didn't stay?" Jamal asked suddenly. William didn't hesitate. "Then I wouldn't be here," he said. Simple, direct, true. Jamal nodded slowly. "And what happens now?" he asked. William smiled faintly. "Now," he said, "you decide what that moment was worth." Jamal looked at the paper again, then at his mother. Her eyes were softer now, but still steady, still strong. "You don't have to carry everything alone," she said quietly. Jamal exhaled. The tension in his chest shifted. Not gone, but different, lighter. He looked back at William. "I don't want charity," he said. "You're not getting charity," William replied. "I don't want to feel like I owe you something." William shook his head. "You don't owe me anything," he said. "If anything, I owe you." Jamal studied him, searching for a catch, a condition, something hidden behind the words. But there was nothing, just honesty, just gratitude. He picked up the pocket watch, carefully. It felt solid in his hand. Grounded. Real. He pressed the small latch and opened it. Inside, engraved in delicate letters, were 3 words: "He who stays." Jamal stared at them. The meaning settled slowly. Deep. Not loud, but lasting. "I'll take it," Jamal said. His voice was steady now. Certain. Not rushed. Not unsure. Just decided. The room didn't react right away. Then, William nodded once, a small, satisfied smile forming at the edge of his lips. "Good," he said. Emily let out a quiet breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Denise reached over and squeezed Jamal's shoulder gently. pride, relief, something warmer than either. Jamal set the paper down on the table, then picked up the watch again, closed it, slipped it carefully into his pocket. It felt strange there, new, but right. "Thank you," he said, not just to William, to all of them, to the moment, to everything that had led him here. William leaned back slightly, his breathing steady. "Welcome to the next part of your life," he said. Jamal nodded, but deep down, he knew something. This wasn't the end. It wasn't even the reward. It was just the beginning of something else, something bigger. Later, as they prepared to leave, Jamal paused near the doorway. He glanced back at the room, at the fire, at the man he had saved, at the life he almost lost, and the one now in front of him. Different, uncertain, but open. Outside, the air was still cold, but it didn't feel the same. The city moved like it always did. But Jamal didn't. Not exactly. Because now, every step forward carried something with it. A reminder. A choice. An echo of a moment that would follow him for the rest of his life. As the car door closed behind him, Jamal rested his hand in his pocket, felt the watch. Solid. Steady. A quiet weight. And for the first time, he understood something his life had been trying to teach him all along. The world doesn't remember the people who rush past. It remembers the ones who stay. 6 months later, the city felt warmer. Not because winter had fully left. It hadn't. But because something in Jamal had. The cold no longer sat inside his chest the way it used to. It had been replaced by something quieter, steadier, something that didn't rush, didn't panic, didn't shrink. Morning light stretched across Roosevelt Station as Jamal walked past it. Same platform, same tiles, same flickering lights. But everything looked different now. Or maybe he did. Back then, he had stood here with $42 in his pocket and a choice that felt impossible. Now, he walked past in a clean jacket, a backpack slung over his shoulder, heading toward a future that had once felt completely out of reach. University classes, new books, new people, new possibilities, all of it real, all of it earned in a way no one could take from him. He slowed as he reached the entrance, just for a second. His eyes moved across the platform inside. He didn't step down, didn't need to, but he always looked. Every morning, like a quiet habit, like something inside him needed to remember. That morning, something caught his attention. A small movement. Off to the side of the station entrance, a girl, maybe 12, wearing a worn-out backpack, kneeling. Jamal paused. An older woman stood beside her, looking flustered. A torn grocery bag lay open on the ground, apples rolling across the sidewalk. The girl didn't rush, didn't look around for help. She just moved, picking up one apple at a time. Careful, focused, gentle. Jamal watched. The scene felt familiar, not in detail, but in feeling. The choice, the moment. Stay or walk past. People moved around them. Some slowed, some didn't. But no one stopped. Except her. Jamal felt something shift in his chest. Not heavy, not painful, just clear. He didn't step forward, didn't interrupt. He didn't need to, because the moment wasn't his. It belonged to her. Instead, he smiled, just slightly, and kept walking. As he moved past the station, his hand slipped into his pocket. His fingers found the pocket watch. The metal was smooth now, worn from being carried every day. Familiar, grounding. He pressed it gently between his fingers, felt the weight, the quiet reminder. His phone buzzed softly. A message from his mother. "Jamal, don't forget your sister's appointment at 4. He smiled, typed back quickly. "I won't." Another message followed. "Proud of you. Always." He didn't reply right away. Didn't need to. Some things didn't need answering. Life had changed. Not overnight. Not magically. But steadily. His mother still worked. Still came home tired. But not afraid. His sister still had her inhaler. But now she laughed more. Breathed easier. Slept through the night. And Jamal, he still worked hard. Still studied late. Still walked the same streets. But something was different. He wasn't carrying everything alone anymore. Across the city, in a quiet office, a framed newspaper clipping sat on a shelf, a photo of a boy kneeling on a subway platform, a headline beneath it, a story that had spread farther than anyone expected. Emily Harrington stood nearby, reading an email, her expression calm. Behind her, William Harrington sat by a window, a blanket across his lap, watching the city move. He didn't say much these days. Didn't need to. He had seen enough. Felt enough. Lived enough. But every now and then he would reach into his pocket, feel the absence of the watch, and smile. Because he knew exactly where it was, and exactly why. Back on the street, Jamal reached the corner and crossed. The light changed. Cars slowed. People moved. Life continued. Just like always. But for Jamal, every step held something more. A quiet understanding. A truth that didn't need explaining. The world would always have its trains, opportunities, shortcuts, moments to move ahead. But not every moment was about moving forward. Some were about stopping, choosing, staying. Jamal glanced back once more at the station behind him, then forward again, toward everything still waiting. And as he walked, the watch in his pocket caught the light for just a second. A small flash, a quiet signal, a reminder. That one choice, one moment, one decision to stay, could echo farther than anyone ever expected. The train always leaves, but the ones who stay, they're the ones who change everything. If this story stayed with you, ask yourself one thing. When your moment comes, will you stay? Jamal Carter missed the last train, knelt on a freezing platform, and chose a stranger's life over his own comfort. And that single choice followed him all the way to a future he never imagined. Sometimes, one quiet act of courage, when no one is watching, when no one is helping, is enough to change the direction of an entire life. Not because you planned it, but because you showed up when it mattered most. Next time you see someone struggling, don't wait for someone else to step in. Just take that first step like Jamal did. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be real. And it could mean more than you'll ever know. If this story stayed with you, comment 1 below. And tell me, would you have stayed or caught the train? Stay with me, because the next story might make you see a simple moment in your life very differently.